Welcome back to part 5 of threading and fitting a F-class barrel. We're going to do the threads and start doing the calculations for the barrel threading. I've already got the pitch diameter and the tenon cut and all that stuff. Again, part 5 of a going to probably be an 8-part video series. So we'll get you guys set up on the tripod. I've got this contraption here holding the camera up above the lathe and going down to the ground there. So now we can do calculations. Very simple to do. We've already turned the diameter down below this, our 0.995 of our actual OD. Take 0.995 and multiply that times your OD, and that gives you your actual OD, what you want to work with to get a proper flat across the top of your threaded portion here. This is 75 thousandths depth of cut for thread clearance. And we're gonna notch this here so our tool can, our threading tool can end in a cleaned up spot. I don't have an automatic retracting threading device like a CNC machine does, so I can't just have the tool automatically feed out and retract. This is all assholes and elbows, excuse the language. Manual machining, you know. So this is my compound feed off of the compound here, and the compound is set up at 29 degrees. I'm going to break out the book on how you calculate all this stuff, and we'll go over the calculations of this. And then this is my actual pitch diameter. This is supposed to be 1.0182 to 1.0219, and if I get to 0.019, that's perfect on the gun. Okay, so I need paper. All right. Notes. If you guys don't have notes, I wrote these notes probably 25 years ago, and I work with them. You know, this was my threading procedure out of my syllabus for my trade school back in 1990. So, major diameter of threads times 0.995 equals your OD. That's what you want to turn your threads to. Depth of thread on one side. We're doing 60-degree pitch. I got 55 in here if you're ever working on Mausers. 60-degree pitch. Well, 60-degree threads. Pitch times 0.86603 for a sharp tool, or 0.541 for a flat on the tool. And that flat on the tool is the calculated flat that is specified in the thread specs. It's not just some random number, which is why we can take our pitch and go 541, because that's the ratio. Depth on one side times 2 equals your cross slide travel. Cross slide travel. We're not going with cross slide travel. We're going with compound travel. Compound feed is for a 60 degree with your compound set at 29 degrees, depth on one side times 1.14335. I carried out, that's 5 decimals. You carry that out that far so that you eliminate your rounding errors. I got 55-degree threads here too. The reason why we set the compound at 29 degrees is it takes less material off of the right-hand side of the cutter people will say that, oh, that's because the right hand side of the tool is not doing any cutting. No, the right hand side of the tool is doing cutting. It's just not doing as much as if it was set at 30 degrees. So we set that. So we take our pitch, which for a Remington is 16 threads per inch, so 0.0625, and we times that by 541, and then we times that by 1.14335, and that gives us 0.0386 compound feed. And we can dial in 3, and it's close. It gets you in the ballpark. And we're gonna measure pitch diameter on that, and we're gonna get it all done. So this thing has not been moved. The right insert is in there. That's good. Come on, baby. There we are. Okay. Let me get the tailstock out of the way. We don't need that. And actually, we can get this out of the way because we're going to put in our thread relief. It's supposed to be 78 thousandths deep. We're going to go to 80. 75 thousandths, we're going to go to 80. I like it a little faster. Okay, I just kissed it. Set that to 0. Set that to 0. The call out is 750 on the threads. That's 750 right there, but that's 750 to the edge. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can be picky about it if you want, but I'm not. I like to have a little bit of a land where the recoil lug sits, so it's not just flapping around. Most of the time on most of your single point threading on something like this, you would cut your thread relief right up against that shoulder. Well, I don't like doing that. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a land, and I'm going to give. So we're probably about 1/8 of an inch. Like I said, it doesn't, something like this, it's not critical. It doesn't matter where it's at. So there we touch. I'm going to reset my 0 so you guys can see what the hell I'm doing here. So, and that might even, yeah. Well, there's not a lot I can do about that. Toward 0, we got to go into 75, and a little bit more wouldn't hurt. So, this lathe is a direct read dial on here. Excuse me. It's a direct read. Yes, it's not a diameter read where they split the difference. So every line on here, when it says 125, it actually means 250. But it's actual movement of what you're doing. I think that's what they call it. I think that's what they call direct read. Might be when it compensates for the diameter. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So that's my fault if I got it wrong. So when we come up to 25, that's actually 50, 60, 70, 75, and we'll just go to 80 and we'll let it run. Alright, so there's your 80. We're done with that. Pull that out of the way. Whoops. Throw a threading tool on. Like I said, we would be ensuring that this is square to the part this fixture hasn't been changed since I started doing this process. So, and nobody comes out here in my garage and starts monkeying with this stuff but me. So this threading tool is set where it needs to be. So we're going to dial over. I'm going to dial this compound into 0. That's set. I'm going to, oh man, my knees. All right, we're going to go 16 thread per inch, which is going to be 1B. And we're going to engage the threads on here. Hey, knocking stuff over. Okay. Going to double check. Nothing wrong. Yeah, 16 threads per inch. It's been a long day. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, if you're going to use a rag on a lathe, you pinch the rag so that if the lathe grabs it, it just takes it out of your hand and it doesn't wrap your hand up in with it, you know? Hey, how's that look? That's not too bad. That's better. All right. Back at it. 270, low range. We're in it. Set to 0. We're going to touch off the tool, take a little off the Sharpie mark here, and we're going to see where we're at. Turn on the lights on the optimizer, and it gives you a little reflection. And when you see the two, it's like sticking your finger on a mirror. When you see the two reflections meet, you know you're touching. We're just skimming the Sharpie mark there. So we're good. My dial's moving. Since I've taken, this is where everybody gets all nervous about this crap. Now, the thing that I was taught in trade school was keep your hand on the last dial you move. You know, the last lever you touch, the last dial you move, whatever. Putting a little thread prep on here, hand file it on. You can set it up and cut it if you want, whatever. I'm just going to hand file it. A little lead in. Again, not critical. You know, not critical at all. Alright. Oil. We are in neutral. We are ready to go. With cross feed. Hit it. Here we go. Out. I don't know what the hell is so nerve-wracking about that to these guys. Come back to 0 here. I came in 15 thou. I'm only going to come in 10 this time. You reduce by a little bit every cut, every pass. Okay, well, we're back at it. You missed a couple of passes. The card on the SD card on the camera filled up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to verify 0 on my pitch mic here, and confirm that it's on 0. That's, you know, I can wiggle this a little bit, and that's, you know, it's within a couple of tenths. For crying out loud, we're just trying to get within a thousandth of our pitch diameter. So, and I know this is pretty pretty far away from what we need to be doing here. Yeah. You know, pretty far away from our final dimension. Yeah, we're 45, so we're about 15th thou off a final. Back to 0. Thread dial. Go to 10. That was 2.5 thousandths dialed in on the compound, and we'll see what that actually took. So we're at 35. So we got still 35. No, we do. That's another 15. Still 15. Gee, Christmas. I got my number. We had 25 thou to take off then. That was another 2.5 off. And I know we're getting close. So we're about 30. So that last 2.5 took 5. So it's whatever you dial in here, it's taken off about double. So we're about 10 thou away. Yeah, we're about 10 thou away. So I'm just going to keep going, take 2.5 at a whack. Keeping track of where you're at on your dial here. You know, guys use tape and stuff like that. You know, whatever makes you comfortable. Whatever makes you comfortable. I've probably single pointed a million threads. You know, this is not anything new to me. Well, the first time I did this in trade school, it scared the shit out of me. There's a lot going on. All right, so we are at 20, just under 27. So we got about 7 thou to take off. Another 2.5 that'll equal 5 when we get there. We're at 23. We're at 23. I've got a gauge. Well, my gauge. I made this. That actually threads on. Holy crap. Okay, well, I got to go pick up my daughter. And I'm going to pause the video here. Call it good. We'll come back to this. I'm going to get the barrel off my gun, and I may try to screw the action onto this just to verify that we're good. Or I could screw it onto that barrel. I know that one's good. So in any event, we'll be back. It'll be, well, part 2 of I don't know how many. Well, we're on part, this is part 5 or 6 now, I think. I don't know. No, we're still on part 5. Well, it'll be part 2 of part 5. All right. So we're back at it. We're going to take a spring pass here. And what the spring pass is where you don't touch your dials and you just let the cutter cut again. So I'm not moving this. This is back on 0. And it takes a little whisper off like that. Now, since we're at that spot, I'm going to dial this in. I'm going to dial this into 1. 1 on the cross slide. So that evens out the 29 degrees on there. My gauge fits, so I think I'm good. We can double check that with the rifle. That took material off the right hand side of the threads. If that gets me to 1 inch 20, 1 inch 19 on my pitch diameter, I'll be happy. There's 20. Oh, not quite. About 21.5. And our pitch diameter maximum is supposed to be 21.9. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dial this in to 2. Spray down here on the cross slide. And just let it take that little bit. That's 20. So we're a thou under our maximum. Those few little passes just took, yeah, that spins right on. It's got a little wobble. I made this so that it was on the large side. I don't even know what the real pitch diameter of this thing is. But I made this so that I could throw barrels in the lathe. This outside diameter fits the inside diameter of my spindle as a nice slip fit. And this is so that you can do a quick and dirty muzzle thread on a rifle where the guy wants a muzzle brake on there, and it doesn't have to be lined up, super critical. If you get the threads on a muzzle brake within 0.005 of concentricity of the bore, you're doing fine. There's 50 thousandths, 30 to 50 thousandths of clearance on a muzzle brake. So if you're out by 5, big deal. You're good. So this is good. I'm going to go ahead and deburr this just a little bit. And hit that with a fine file. Get rid of the threading tool. Roll my little chamfer tool here. And I'll go ahead and hit this on the outside. I know I just got through filing this, but so now I'm going to put the lathe in reverse. I'm going to come all the way over. I'm going to touch the inside of this counterboard and put a good chamfer on it as well. And there we go. Dial this out of the way. I'm going to get my dead center out of the, my half center out of the tailstock here. I'll pop. Put the drill chuck in. And grab my countersink for the beginning of the chamber. I go in and I just touch the inside of the chamber. I just disengage the feed screw and the feed screw and the lead screw, because I'm going to kick this thing up to about 1,000 RPM, and I'm going to polish the inside of the chamber. So what I was going to do in part 4, the chambering part, was show you chamfering here and chamfering of the chamber. Well, we had to do that in this part because I bloody forgot to do it. So, you know, it is what it is. The other thing I forgot to do is show you the polishing. 400 grit sandpaper wrapped around a 5/16, 3/8 diameter dowel. We're going to spin this. We're going to spin this barrel up about 1,000 RPM and go to town. This is recommended by David Tubb to prevent sticky bolt lip. And that's it. That's as aggressive as I get with polishing this thing. That's the end of part 5, so we're going to move on to part 6. So that's the end of part 5. We're going to move on to part 6. We're going to take the barrel out, flip it around, part off the front of it, just like we did the breech side of it, and then we're going to start setting her up for the tuner threads. So stay tuned.